All right, listen up. If you think cutting her off, going full radio silence, disappearing from her inbox, her DMs, her life is some kind of ultimate checkmate, you're missing the bigger picture. No contact? It's not the knockout punch you imagine. It's not going to send her spiraling into regret, clutching her phone at 2 a.m., wondering why she let you go. Let's get real. Most women see it coming from a mile away. They've been through it, they've played the game, they've got their defenses up. They're ready for your silence. It's like expecting a Tesla to run out of juice just because you unplugged it for a day. It doesn't work that way. The system's built to handle it. Her ego, it's not even dented. It's still humming along, fully charged, because silence alone doesn't shift the power dynamic. It doesn't make her question her worth. It doesn't make her look in the mirror and see the void you left behind. If you want to hit her where it counts, not out of spite, but to reclaim your own strength, you've got to go deeper, way deeper, than just ghosting her. Let's break this down like we're reverse engineering a SpaceX rocket. You thought no contact was the endgame, didn't you? You thought blocking her number, unfollowing her on X, and pretending she doesn't exist would make her feel the weight of losing you. You pictured her sitting there, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment she screwed you over, drowning in regret. But here's the cold, hard truth. That's not how it works. Women like her, they're wired for this. They expect you to pull the plug. They've got their emotional batteries on standby, ready to coast through your absence without a flicker. No contact might shut off the noise for a bit, but it doesn't touch her ego. It doesn't flip the script. It doesn't make her question the choices she made when she walked out on you, leaving you to pick up the pieces of your trust, your time, your energy. You poured everything into her, your loyalty, your heart, your late night conversations that felt like they could change the world. And what did she do? She didn't just leave you lonely. She left you questioning your own value, wondering if you were ever enough. That's not just a wound, that's a wake up call. That's the universe smacking you upside the head, saying, time to rebuild, better, stronger, untouchable. This isn't about playing petty games or plotting some soap opera revenge. This isn't about groveling to win her back either. Begging is for suckers, and you're not one. This is about something bigger, something primal, something that rewires the very circuits of who you are. It's about becoming a man whose silence isn't just empty space, it's a force, a presence, a signal that you're done being the guy who gets left behind. We're not just talking about vanishing from her radar, we're talking about vanishing from her influence, her control, her ability to pull your strings. This is about you stepping into a new orbit, one where her gravity can't touch you. It's about building a version of yourself so powerful, so undeniable, that her ego, the one that thrived on your attention, your validation, your pain starts to crack under the weight of what she lost. Not because you told her she lost it, but because you became someone she can't even dream of reaching anymore. You're here because you gave her everything. You were all in, 100%, no holding back. You handed her your trust like it was a prototype for the next big thing, expecting her to treat it with care. You gave her your time, your energy, your vision for a future together. And when she walked away, she didn't just break your heart, she broke your sense of self. You started wondering what you did wrong, what you could have done better, why you weren't enough to keep her. That's the trap. That's where she wins. Not because she's better, but because she's got you doubting your own worth. But here's the deal. Her leaving wasn't your failure. It was her choice, and choices have consequences. Not the kind you scream about in a text or post in a cryptic X rant. Real consequences. The kind that hit her when she realizes you're not the guy she can string along anymore. You're not the guy who's going to wait in the wings, hoping for a second chance. You're the guy who's already light years ahead, building something she'll never be part of. Let's talk about why no contact alone is like launching a rocket with half a tank of fuel. It might get off the ground, but it's not going anywhere meaningful. When you go no contact, you're hitting pause on the chaos, sure. You're stopping the late night arguments, the back and forth texts, the endless loop of what ifs that keep you up at night. But pausing the chaos doesn't mean you've won. It doesn't mean you've reclaimed your power. It just means you've stepped out of the ring for a minute. Her ego, it's still standing tall, feeding off the fact that she knows you're out there somewhere hurting. She knows you're thinking about her, checking her ex profile, wondering if she's moved on. That's what keeps her in control, even when you're not talking. Every time you check her story, every time you ask a mutual friend how she's doing, every time you let her name linger in your head for a second too long, you're handing her the keys to your mind, and she's not even paying rent for it. The real move isn't just cutting her off, it's cutting off her ability to affect you. It's about turning your silence into a weapon, not a retreat. Think of it like this. When you go silent, but you're still obsessed, still checking her posts, still hoping she'll notice you're gone, you're not in control. She is. She's still calling the shots because she knows you're out there waiting for her to blink. But when you go silent and mean it, when you cut the emotional cords, when you stop caring whether she notices or not, that's when the game changes. That's when her ego starts to feel the pinch. Because women like her, the ones who thrive on attention, on reactions, on knowing they've got you wrapped around their finger, they can't stand indifference. They can't stand the idea that you're out there living, thriving without giving them a second thought. That's what shakes them, not your absence from their phone, but your absence from their influence. This is where we're going with this. We're not just talking about disappearing. We're talking about engineering a transformation so profound that her ego, the one that fed off your loyalty, your pain, your need for her, starts to crumble under the weight of what she threw away. You're not doing this to hurt her, you're doing it to save yourself, to rebuild yourself, to become the kind of man who doesn't need her validation or anyone's to know his worth. This is about you stepping into a new reality, one where you're not defined by who you were to her, but by who you're becoming without her. You're not just going no contact, you're going no compromise. You're not just walking away, you're walking toward something bigger, something unstoppable. Picture this. You're not the guy who's sulking in the corner wondering why she didn't see your value. You're the guy who's out there grinding, building, creating something that makes the world take notice. Maybe it's your career, your body, your mind doesn't matter. What matters is you're moving forward, not looking back. You're not posting thirst traps on X to get her attention. You're not dropping subtle hints to make her jealous. You're not even thinking about her. You're too busy becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. That's the shift, that's the power. That's what makes her ego start to crack, not because you told her it's cracked, but because she can feel it when she sees you've moved on in a way she never expected. Let's get practical for a second. You're not going to crush her ego by sending her a 500-word text explaining how she hurt you. You're not going to do it by posting a gym selfie with some vague caption about new beginnings. That's amateur hour. That's you still playing her game, still begging for her to notice. The real move is to stop playing altogether. Delete her from your headspace, not just your contacts. Stop checking her ex profile. Stop asking your boys if she's dating someone new. Stop letting her live rent free in your mind. Every time you give in to that urge, you're handing her a piece of your power. You're saying, you still matter. And she doesn't. Not anymore. The moment you start treating her like she's irrelevant, not out of anger, but out of focus, that's when you start winning. This isn't about being cold or cruel. It's about being strategic. It's about recognizing that you're not just a guy who got dumped, you're a guy who's got a mission. You're building something, whether it's a business, a body, a legacy. You're not here to waste energy on someone who didn't see your value. You're here to create value so undeniable that the world can't ignore it, and she can't either. But here's the kicker. You don't do it for her, you do it for you. Because the man who builds himself up, who becomes untouchable, doesn't need her to regret anything. He's already won by becoming someone she can't touch, can't influence, can't even dream of keeping up with. So where do you start? Right here, right now. You stop seeing no contact as the finish line and start seeing it as the launch pad. It's not about disappearing, it's about reappearing as someone new. Someone who doesn't need her approval, her attention, her anything. You're not cutting her off to punish her, you're cutting her off to free yourself, to clear the noise, the drama, the baggage, and make room for the real work. Building a man who's so focused, so driven, so in control of his own destiny that her ego doesn't stand a chance. Not because you attacked it, but because you outgrew it. This is the mindset shift we're talking about. It's not about her anymore, it's about you. It's about taking the pain she left you with and turning it into rocket fuel. It's about looking at the wreckage of what you thought was love and saying, I'm going to build something better out of this. You're not here to cry over spilled milk. You're here to invent the next big thing yourself. So hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and drop a comment below. I'm done playing small. I'm building something unstoppable. Because this isn't just about her ego. It's about your rebirth. Let's get to work. All right, let's cut through the fog. You're not grieving her. You're grieving a mirage, a hologram you built in your head, a version of her that never really existed. You've been holding on to this polished, perfect image of a woman who said all the right things, made you feel like you'd cracked the code to the universe, maybe even promised you forever. But that wasn't her. That was your projection, a construct you poured your loyalty, your hopes, your dreams into. You crafted a statue out of your own devotion and called it love. Meanwhile, the real her, she's the one who walked away without a backward glance, left you picking up the pieces, maybe even played the victim while you were still bleeding out. That's not love. That's not loyalty. That's ego hers, not yours. And every time you replay those late night talks, those moments when she seemed like the one, you're not just torturing yourself, you're feeding her power, keeping her on a pedestal she doesn't deserve. If you want to take back control, crush that illusion, burn it to the ground, and build something real in its ashes. This is about seeing the truth for what it is, not what you wished it was. Let's dive in. Think about it like you're debugging a neural network. You've got this model in your head, her. You trained it with every memory, every smile, every time she looked at you like you were the center of her universe. You fed it with your trust, your time, your energy, and it output this flawless image, the soulmate, the one who'd never let you down. But the data was flawed from the start. The real inputs, her actions, what did she actually do? Did she ghost you without a word? Did she breadcrumb you with half-hearted texts while she was already moving on? Did she run to someone else, leaving you to question your worth? That's the raw data, not the filtered highlights you keep replaying. Every time you cling to that one perfect moment, maybe a night under the stars, a promise she made, a text that felt like poetry, you're overfitting the model to a fantasy. You're ignoring the bugs, the red flags, the patterns you excused because you wanted to believe she was different. She wasn't, she's not. And the sooner you delete that faulty code, the sooner you can start running a system that actually works. This is the first real strike in dismantling her ego, and it starts in your head. You're not fighting her, you're fighting the version of her you created. That pedestal you put her on, it's not made of her greatness, it's made of your need to believe in something bigger than yourself. You wanted her to be the answer, the missing piece, the one who'd finally see you for who you are, but she didn't. She saw what she could take your time, your attention, your heart, and when she was done, she left you to clean up the mess. That's not a queen, that's a user. And every time you romanticize her, every time you tell yourself she was one in a million, you're handing her a trophy she didn't earn. You're keeping her elevated, untouchable, when the truth is she's just human, flawed, selfish, and not your problem anymore. The real power move is to tear down that pedestal, not with anger, but with clarity. See her for what she was, not what you hoped she'd be. Let's get practical, because this isn't just philosophy, it's execution. Step one, stop replaying the highlight reel. You know the one. That moment she laughed at your dumb joke, or when she held your hand and it felt like the world stopped. Those memories are traps designed to keep you stuck in a loop of what if. They're not real anymore, if they ever were. Every time you catch yourself drifting back, hit the brakes. Ask yourself, what did she do, not what did she say? Did she respect you? Did she value your time? Did she show up when it mattered? If the answer is no, then that memory isn't a treasure, it's a weight. Write it down if you have to. Make a list of every time she let you down, every lie, every excuse. Not to wallow, but to ground yourself in reality. You're not losing a soulmate, you're losing a lesson. And the lesson is this: stop betting on potential. Stop falling for promises. Stop painting red flags white because you're desperate to believe in someone. This is where the shift happens. You're not just letting go of her, you're letting go of the version of you that needed her to be something she wasn't. That guy, the one who ignored the signs, who forgave too easily, who poured everything into someone who gave nothing back, he's got to go too. Because her ego thrives on knowing you're still that guy, the one who's pining, who's waiting, who's hoping she'll see the error of her ways. She's counting on it. She's banking on your nostalgia to keep her relevant. But when you burn that illusion, when you strip away the filter of your emotions, you start to see the cracks, the way she deflected blame, the way she kept you on the hook just enough to feel in control, the way she never really matched your effort. Those aren't the traits of a goddess. They're the traits of someone who didn't deserve you in the first place. Now, let's talk about why this matters. Every second you spend worshiping that fantasy, you're not just giving her power, you're robbing yourself of it. You're diverting energy from your mission, your growth, your future. Think of it like a battery drain. Your system's got limited juice, and you're wasting it on a program that's already crashed. Instead of debugging her, debug you. Redirect that energy into something that actually moves the needle, your work, your health, your vision. You want to know what really stings her ego? It's not you yelling about how she hurt you. It's you not caring anymore. It's you building something so big, so undeniable that she can't help but notice she's no longer part of the equation. Not because you're trying to make her jealous, but because you're too busy becoming someone she can't touch. This isn't about hating her. Hate's just another form of attachment, another way to keep her in your orbit. This is about indifference, the kind that comes from seeing the truth clearly. She wasn't your everything, she was your teacher. She showed you where your boundaries were weak, where your standards were too low, where you gave too much without demanding enough in return. That's not a loss, that's a blueprint. Use it. Take every moment you spent chasing her approval and turn it into fuel for chasing your own. You want to crush your ego? Don't tell her she's irrelevant. Show her. Become the guy who doesn't need her to feel whole, who doesn't need her to know his worth. Because when you do, when you finally see her for what she was, a lesson, not a legend, her ego doesn't just crack, it shatters. Not because you fought her, but because you outgrew her. So here's the plan. Start today. Delete the mental playlist of what could have been. Stop scrolling through old texts, old photos, old memories. They're not your story anymore. Your story is what you're building now. Write down the truth every time she let you down, every time she chose herself over you. Keep it somewhere you can see it, not to dwell on it, but to remind yourself why you're moving forward. Then get to work. Hit the gym, double down on your projects, read something that makes your brain hum. Every step you take away from that illusion is a step toward a version of you she'll never know, and that's the point. You're not doing this to win her back, you're doing it to win yourself. So let's move. Drop a comment below. I'm done with illusions, I'm building reality. Subscribe, hit the bell, and let's keep this rocket moving. All right, let's level up. You've cut the cord, burned the illusion, and started seeing her for who she really is, not the dream you built, but the reality that walked away. Now it's time to take this further than just hitting the block button or ghosting her texts. No contact is the starting line, not the finish. It's the bare minimum, like strapping into a Tesla and thinking just turning it on gets you to Mars. If you want to really shift the dynamic to make her ego feel the weight of your absence, you've got to become unreachable, not just in her phone, but in her influence, her pull, her ability to get under your skin. This isn't about disappearing from her contact list, it's about disappearing from her control. It's about building a fortress around your mind, your energy, your peace, so solid that she can't even dream of breaching it. Let's break this down like we're engineering a Starship launch: precision, power, and no room for error. No contact, as most guys do it, is surface level. You block her number, mute her ex posts, avoid her favorite coffee shop. That's not power, that's just logistics. It's like locking the front door but leaving the windows wide open. She's still in your head, still pulling strings every time you check her profile, every time you wonder what she's up to, every time you post something hoping she'll see it. That's not freedom. That's a leash, just a longer one. If she can still make your heart race with a cryptic story or a random hey text, she's winning. If her name popping up in a mutuals group chat makes you flinch, she's still got you. The goal here isn't just to vanish from her radar, it's to vanish from her ability to affect you. That means no emotional leaks, no subtle signals, no cracks in your armor. You're not just out of her reach, you're out of her orbit entirely. Let's get real for a second. You know those moments when you're scrolling X and you accidentally end up on her page? Or when you're out with friends and you casually ask how she's doing, pretending it's no big deal? That's not casual. That's you handing her power on a silver platter. Every time you check her feed, every time you let her name linger in your thoughts, you're giving her a piece of your energy. You're letting her live rent free in your mind, and she doesn't even have to lift a finger. Women like her, they thrive on that. They feed off knowing they've still got a hook in you, that they can still make you react, even if it's just a twinge of curiosity or a pang of regret. The moment you stop giving her that, the moment you become truly unreachable, is when her ego starts to wobble. Because nothing unsettles someone who's used to attention more than total, unflinching indifference. So, how do you do this? It's not about acting cold or playing hard to get, that's still performing, still caring about her reaction. It's about mastering detachment, like a rocket shedding its boosters to break free of Earth's pull. You start by locking down your emotional perimeter. First step, cut off all access points. No checking her ex, her Instagram, her anything. Unfollow, mute, block if you have to, not out of spite, but out of strategy. You're not doing it to hurt her, you're doing it to protect you. If you've got mutual friends, don't ask about her, don't fish for updates, don't let their casual mentions of her derail your focus. If her name comes up, change the subject. Not dramatically, not with a scowl, just smoothly, like you're redirecting a meeting that's gone off topic. You're not avoiding her, you're prioritizing you. Next, shut down the subtle signals. You know what I'm talking about, those posts you make, deep down hoping she'll see them. The gym selfie with a caption about new chapters. The cryptic quote about knowing your worth. That's not strength, that's begging. It's you screaming, look at me, I'm doing great without you. And she knows it. She can smell the desperation from a mile away. A man who's truly unreachable doesn't need to broadcast his glow up. He doesn't post for her or for anyone. He's too busy building something real. his career, his body, his mind to care about who's watching. If you're posting with her in mind, you're still in her game. Delete that noise. Share your wins when they're undeniable, not when you're fishing for her attention. Let your progress speak for itself, not through a filtered lens, but through the quiet confidence of a man who doesn't need validation. Now, let's talk about the internal work, because this is where the real transformation happens. Becoming unreachable isn't just about what you don't do, it's about what you become. It's about rewiring your mind to stop reacting to her triggers. She posts a story with some new guy, you don't flinch. She likes one of your posts out of nowhere, you don't take the bait. She sends a just checking in text, you don't reply, not because you're playing games, but because you've got better things to do. This isn't about being petty, it's about being in control. You're not a puppet anymore. Her actions, her words, her silence, they don't move you. You've got your own mission, your own trajectory, and she's not on the flight path. Think of it like this. Your mind is a fortress, and she's been sneaking in through the back door for too long. Maybe it's a memory that hits you out of nowhere, or a song that reminds you of her, or a notification that makes your pulse jump. Those are breaches, weaknesses in your defenses. To become unreachable, you've got to seal them up. Start by redirecting your focus. Every time you catch yourself thinking about her, swap it for something productive. Mind wandering to what she's doing? Pick up a book. Feeling the urge to check her ex? Hit the gym, lift heavier, run faster, work smarter, replace her presence in your head with your own progress. It's not about suppressing the thoughts, it's about outgrowing them. You're not running from her, you're running towards something bigger. Here's the kicker. When you become truly unreachable, something shifts. She feels it, even if she doesn't say it. Women who thrive on attention, on control, on knowing they've got you hooked, they can't handle a man who doesn't care anymore. Not the fake I don't care, where you're still checking her stories at midnight. The real kind, where your energy is so locked into your own goals that she's just background noise. That's when the questions start creeping into her head. Why isn't he reaching out? Why doesn't he care? Did I misjudge him? That's when her ego starts to crack, not because you disappeared, but because you stopped giving her the power to define you. You became the unknown, the mystery, the man she can't predict or control. And that's magnetic. That's what keeps her up at night, not your absence, but your indifference. This is about more than just her. It's about reclaiming your mental real estate for you. Every ounce of energy you've been wasting on her, wondering, hoping, hurting, is energy you could be pouring into your own empire, your startup, your side hustle, your health, your vision for the future. You're not just cutting her off, you're cutting off anything that pulls you away from your purpose. You're building a life so full, so focused, that there's no room for someone who didn't see your value. And when you get there, when you're standing in your own power, you won't even care if she notices, because you'll know the truth. You're not unreachable to hurt her. You're unreachable because you're too busy becoming unstoppable. So here's the playbook. Today, right now, commit to locking down your mind. No more ex stalking, no more casual check ins, no more posting for her eyes. Replace every thought of her with action. Read, lift, code, create, build something that matters. Every time she creeps into your head, redirect that energy to your mission. Write it down if you need to. She doesn't get my attention anymore. I do. Keep that fortress tight. You're not just out of her reach, you're out of her league. Drop a comment below. I'm locking it down. I'm unreachable. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and let's keep building this rocket. We're not stopping here. You've cut the cord, burned the illusion, and sealed off her influence. Now you're standing in the quiet, the emptiness left behind after the chaos of her exit. Most guys panic here. They see the silence as a void, a black hole sucking away their energy, leaving them to stew in loneliness and what ifs. They treat it like a punishment, something to endure until she texts, until she regrets, until something fills the gap. That's where they lose. That's where you're going to win. The void isn't your enemy, it's your proving ground. It's where you forge the man you were always meant to be. This isn't about surviving the silence, it's about mastering it, owning it, turning it into your personal workshop where you rebuild yourself from the ground up. Think of it like a SpaceX clean room. No distractions, no noise, just you and the raw materials of your potential. Let's dive in and make the void your domain. Picture this, the noise is gone. No more late night texts, no more arguments looping in your head, no more wondering if she's thinking about you. It's just you, alone with your thoughts. Most men run from this. They fill the silence with cheap distractions, scrolling X, binge watching shows, chasing new women to patch the hole. That's a mistake. That's like trying to fix a broken rocket by slapping duct tape on it. The void isn't a problem to solve, it's an opportunity to build. It's where you meet the real you, the one who's been buried under her drama, your doubts, and the need for validation. The silence is your crucible, the place where you strip away the weakness and refine what's left into something unbreakable. A man who can sit comfortably in the void, with no noise, no applause, no external fixes, is a man who's already halfway to becoming unstoppable. Let's break it down like we're optimizing a neural network. The void is your training ground, but it's not gentle. It's raw, unfiltered, and it forces you to face the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. Maybe it's the insecurity that made you cling to her. Maybe it's the fear of being alone that kept you chasing her approval. Maybe it's the voice in your head saying you're not enough. Most guys drown those voices out with distractions, but you're not most guys. You're going to lean into them. You're going to sit with the discomfort, the doubt, the pain, and you're going to use it not to wallow, but to understand. Every time you feel that pang, her laugh, her touch, her absence, don't push it away. Acknowledge it, then redirect it. That pain isn't a wound, it's fuel. It's the raw material for your transformation. You're not here to feel sorry for yourself. You're here to engineer a version of you that she can't even fathom. So, how do you master the void? First, embrace the emptiness. Stop treating it like a waiting room for her to come back. She's not coming back, and even if she did, you're not the guy she left anymore. The void is your space to rebuild, to recalibrate. Start by setting up a system. Discipline is your scaffolding. Get up at the same time every day, even if it's just to make your bed and hit the gym. Structure your day like you're launching a startup. Every hour counts. Maybe you're lifting weights, maybe you're learning to code, maybe you're reading something that sharpens your mind. Doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's intentional. The void thrives on chaos, so you counter it with order. You turn the silence into your gym, your office, your temple. Every rep, every page, every moment you spend building is a brick in the foundation of the new you. Next, cut the crutches. You know what I'm talking about, those quick fixes you lean on to avoid the quiet. The endless X scrolling, the bar nights with your boys, the rebound flings that feel good for a minute but leave you emptier than before. Those are traps, designed to keep you soft, dependent, stuck. A man who masters the void doesn't need a dopamine hit to get through the day. He doesn't need a new notification to feel alive. He finds his fire in the work, in the grind, in the slow, steady process of becoming better. Try this. For 1 week, no social media after 8 p.m., no mindless streaming, no chasing quick thrills. Instead, sit with yourself, journal your thoughts, plan your next move, meditate if you're into it. The point is to get comfortable with nothing, no noise, no validation, no her. That's where the real power lies. Because a man who doesn't need anything external is a man who can't be shaken. Now, let's talk about why this matters. The void is where she expects you to break. She's counting on you to crumble, to reach out, to show her you're still hers to manipulate. Women who thrive on control, on attention, they bank on your weakness in the silence. They expect you to fill it with desperation, maybe a drunk text, maybe a just checking in message, maybe a post that screams you're still hurting. But when you don't, when you turn that silence into your strength, you flip the script. You become the man who doesn't need her to feel whole. You become the man who's not just surviving the void, but thriving in it. And that's what she can't handle. Not your absence, but your mastery of it. When she sees you're not begging, not chasing, not even noticing her anymore, her ego starts to wobble. She starts to wonder what you're doing, who you're becoming, why you're not the guy she thought she could predict. This isn't about showing off. It's not about posting your progress to make her jealous that's still playing her game. It's about doing the work in private, in the dark, where no one's watching. Think of it like building a Tesla prototype. You don't unveil it until it's ready to dominate. You don't need her to see you lifting heavier, working smarter, or leveling up. You don't need anyone to see it. You're doing it for you, because the man you're becoming doesn't need an audience. He doesn't need likes, comments, or her approval. He's driven by purpose, not applause. And when you get to that point, when you're so locked into your own mission that the void feels like home, something shifts. She feels it not because you told her, but because your energy has changed. You're no longer the guy she could push around. You're a force, calm, focused, untouchable. Here's the practical side. Start small, but start now. Pick one thing to anchor your day. Maybe it's a morning run. Maybe it's an hour of deep work on your side hustle. Make it non-negotiable. Build a routine that's yours, not hers, not anyone's. When the void hits, when you feel that urge to check her ex or drown in memories, redirect it. Pick up a dumbbell, open a notebook, Sketch out your next big idea. Every time you choose action over distraction, you're claiming the void as your own. Track your progress not for her, but for you. Maybe it's pounds lifted, pages read, dollars earned. Doesn't matter. What matters is you're moving forward, not looking back. Write it down. The void is mine. I'm building in it. Keep that note where you can see it. Let it remind you that the silence isn't empty, it's full of potential. The beauty of mastering the void is that it's not just about her, it's about you becoming a man who doesn't need anyone to complete him. You're not waiting for her to regret you. You're not waiting for anyone to validate you. You're building a life so strong, so focused, that the silence becomes your strength. And when she senses that, when she sees you're not the guy who's going to break, who's going to chase, who's going to beg, she starts to question herself, not because you pointed out her flaws, but because you became someone who doesn't need her to shine. That's the real power. That's how you win, not by fighting her, but by outgrowing her. So let's get to work. Own the void. Make it your domain. Start today. One routine, one action, one step toward the man you're meant to be. Drop a comment below. I'm mastering the void. I'm unstoppable. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and let's keep this rocket climbing. We're not done yet. You've burned the illusion, sealed off her influence, and turned the void into your workshop. Now it's time to take this to a new level, where your transformation becomes a silent, undeniable force that she can't ignore. This isn't about shouting your worth or chasing closure. It's about becoming a mirror, one that reflects her choices back at her with brutal clarity. You're not going to argue, explain, or beg for her to see your pain. That's weak. That's fuel for her ego. Instead, you're going to let your growth, your silence, your unshakable presence do the talking. The mirror effect is about making her confront the consequences of her actions without you saying a single word. It's about letting her see what she walked away from, not because you're trying to prove a point, but because you've become a man who naturally commands respect. Think of it like a SpaceX rocket landing, precise, calculated, and impossible to look away from. Let's break it down. The mirror effect isn't about revenge. It's not about crafting some elaborate plan to make her jealous or regret her choices. That's still playing her game, still tying your energy to her reaction. The real move is to become the consequence of her decisions, to embody the weight of what she lost by walking away. Most guys mess this up. They want closure, so they write long, heartfelt messages, pouring out their soul, thinking it'll make her understand, or they post cryptic X updates, hoping she'll see and feel a sting. That's not power, that's surrender. Every time you reach out, every time you try to explain how she hurt you, you're handing her the keys to your emotions. You're saying, "You still control me." A man who's mastered the mirror effect doesn't need to explain himself. He doesn't need her to understand. He just becomes the living proof of her mistake, and that hits harder than any text or speech ever could. So how does this work? It starts with your energy. When you stop chasing her, stop reacting to her, stop giving her any piece of your attention, you create a vacuum. You're not feeding her ego anymore. No likes, no replies, no subtle hints that you're still hung up. You're not giving her anything to work with, nothing to argue against, nothing to twist into her narrative. All that's left is her own choices staring back at her. Did she leave you without explanation? Let her sit with that. Did she play the victim while you were still reeling? Let her own that. Did she run to someone else, thinking she could replace you? Let her deal with the reality that she can't. Your job isn't to point out her mistakes, it's to live in a way that makes those mistakes impossible to ignore. You become the mirror by becoming better, not bitter. You reflect her choices by showing her what she could have had, not by telling her. Let's get tactical, because this is about execution, not just mindset. First, you've got to stop all forms of engagement. No more liking her posts, no more watching her stories, no more responding to her bait, those random texts or comments designed to pull you back in. If she reaches out with a just checking in or a vague miss you, don't bite. Don't block her either. That's still a reaction, still giving her a piece of your energy. Just let it sit. Let her words hang in the air, unanswered. That silence is your first reflection. It says, "You don't get to pull me back into your orbit." It's not about being cold. It's about being in control. You're not ignoring her to hurt her. You're ignoring her because you've got better things to do, like building a life she can't touch. Next, focus on your own path. This is where the mirror starts to shine. You're not posting gym selfies to flex or cryptic quotes to jab at her. You're not living for her eyes or anyone's. You're living for your mission. Maybe you're grinding on a startup, putting in 12-hour days to launch something that changes the game. Maybe you're hitting the gym not to show off, but to feel the kind of strength that comes from discipline. Maybe you're reading, learning, sharpening your mind to cut through the noise of the world. Whatever it is, do it with purpose. Every step you take toward your goals is a reflection of what she walked away from, not just a boyfriend, but a man who's becoming something extraordinary. When you're focused, driven, and unshakable, you don't need to say, "Look at me now." Your life says it for you. Here's why this works. Her ego thrives on your attention, your reactions, your need for her. When you were chasing her, arguing with her, trying to make her see your worth, you were feeding that ego. You were giving her the power to define the narrative. But when you stop all that, when you become a mirror, you flip the dynamic. Now she's forced to look at herself, her choices, her excuses, her failures. Without your validation to prop her up, she starts to feel the weight of what she did. Did she think you'd beg? You didn't. Did she think you'd stay stuck, pining for her? You're not. Did she think she could replace you with someone better? Good luck. The mirror effect doesn't just show her what she lost, it shows her what she underestimated. And that's what cuts deep, not your words, but your evolution. Let's talk about the internal shift, because this isn't just about what you do, it's about who you become. The mirror effect requires you to let go of the need for her to see you. That's the trap most guys fall into. They want her to notice, to regret, to come running back. That's still giving her power. A man who's mastered the mirror effect doesn't care if she notices. He's not living for her reaction. He's living for his purpose. You've got to rewire your mind to stop seeking her validation or anyone's. Start asking yourself, what do I want? Where am I going? What kind of man do I want to be in 5 years? Then start building that man, piece by piece, day by day. Every choice you make, every rep, every project, every moment of discipline is a reflection of your commitment to yourself, not her. Practically, this means doubling down on your focus. Set one big goal, something that lights you up, something that's yours. Maybe it's running a 10 Kelvin in under 40 minutes. Maybe it's launching a side hustle that brings in $500 a month. Maybe it's mastering a skill that makes you indispensable at work. Whatever it is, make it specific, measurable, and tied to your vision. Track your progress like you're running a mission control dashboard. Log your workouts, your hours worked, your milestones hit. Not to show her, but to show yourself what you're capable of. When the urge to check on her creeps in, redirect it to your goal. Check your own progress instead of her X feed. Celebrate your wins, not with a post, but with a quiet nod to yourself. That's the mirror effect in action. You're reflecting your own strength, your own value, and letting the world and her see it indirectly. The beauty of the mirror effect is that it's subtle but devastating. You're not yelling, "You messed up." You're not trying to make her jealous. You're just living fully, authentically, in a way that makes her choices impossible to ignore. She'll feel it, not today, maybe not tomorrow, but when she scrolls, when she hears about you, when she sees you've moved on in a way she never expected. She'll see a man who didn't fold, who didn't beg, who didn't stay stuck. And that's when her ego starts to fracture, not because you attacked it, but because you became a mirror she can't look away from. You became the consequence of her choices, not by fighting her, but by outgrowing her. So here's the plan. Start today. No more reacting to her. No texts, no likes, no subtle jabs. Let her sit with her own choices. Focus on one goal that's yours, write it down, break it into steps, and start executing. Track your progress like it's a mission to Mars. Every time you're tempted to engage, redirect that energy to your work. Write it down. I'm the mirror. My life reflects my worth. Keep that note close. Let it remind you that you're not here to prove anything to her. You're here to prove it to yourself. Drop a comment below. I'm done chasing. I'm reflecting. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and let's keep this rocket soaring. We're just getting started.